Good morning, and thank you for joining me. Yesterday, September 8th, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth Alexandra Mary II passed away in Balmoral, her palace in the Scottish Highlands. Queen Elizabeth II was born on April 21st of 1926, the first child of the Duke and Duchess of York, who later became King George VI and Queen Elizabeth I. As a young girl, Queen Elizabeth II received a private education and started her public service duties during the Second World War, serving in the Auxiliary Territorial Service, a women's branch of the British Army. On November 20th of 1947, she married Philip Mountbatten, a former Prince of Greece and Denmark. Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth were married for 73 years, up until his passing on April 9th, 2021. The couple had 4 children, the firstborn being Charles, the new King of the United Kingdom. Their second child was Anne, Princess Royal, followed by Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, and their final child was Prince Edward, the Earl of Wessex. On February 6th of 1952, King George died, and the late Queen Elizabeth II became the Queen Regnant of 7 independent Commonwealth nations, as well as inheriting the role of the head of the Commonwealth. Her reign is the longest in the history of the Crown at 70 years and 7 months. At the time of her passing, the Queen stands as the second longest reigning monarch in verified human record, only behind King Louis XIV of France, as well as being the longest reigning queen of all time. The response to this tragedy, both in the United Kingdom and around the world, will be nothing short of extravagant. Flags in all corners of the world are being lowered to half-staff, and Buckingham Palace, as well as all royal properties, are being closed to the public. Most of Britain will commence in a 10-day mourning period, seeing the closing of many shops, restaurants, and public places. Queen Elizabeth was loved globally and held the admiration of her subjects through treacherous times. She has reigned through the time of 15 British prime ministers, as well as 14 U.S. presidents. The Queen, while a figurehead monarch, was the pride of the United Kingdom and a symbol of their survival and reemergence after the devastation of the Second World War. She's been a symbol of peace and diplomacy for her people and has shown them compassion throughout the history of the Crown. In 1965, 20 years after the end of World War II, she went on a tour of Germany, a nation that only 20 years ago had bombed London in the Blitzkrieg and led the attack on a terrible war responsible for the deaths of over 450,000 British people. Throughout this tour, she re-solidified the German and British bond and showed great forgiveness to a recovering nation. Even in times where Queen Elizabeth was disliked, she still showed her care for her nation. What is widely being considered the lowest point in the Queen's reign is after Princess Diana's death. The two never had a good relationship, and after the late princess divorced Prince Charles, their association was rare. Initially announcing that Princess Diana's death would not be mourned, with the lowering of flags to half-staff, after seeing the public sentiment, she admitted her wrongdoing and recognized the princess's passing with a traditional royal period of mourning. However, that is not where Queen Elizabeth's actions end. On September 11th of 2001, the Queen quietly made the decision to change the nightly playing of the United Kingdom's national anthem, God Save the Queen, outside of Buckingham Palace to instead mourn the tragic events of that day with the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner. This marked the first time in history that a national anthem other than that of the United Kingdom was played without a visit from a foreign head of state. She later attended a service at St. Paul's Cathedral in London, where yet again the Star-Spangled Banner was sung and prayers were sent to all mourning the horrific attacks. 20 years later, the Queen yet again broke the status quo, with the playing of the American national anthem during the changing of the guard at Windsor Palace on September 11, 2021. The previous examples are just a few of her many demonstrations of care and compassion for people around the world. Outpourings for sympathy to the royal family, as well as the United Kingdom as a whole, have come from far and wide, including moments of silence, the lowering of flags to half-staff, and national monuments dimming their lights. According to Buckingham Palace, Queen Elizabeth II passed away peacefully, surrounded by loved ones. Her legacy and impact on the world are unmistakable, and as the United Kingdom enters a 10-day mourning period with the state funeral of Queen Elizabeth II ending it, we at East Media send our condolences to the British people and anyone affected by the Queen's passing.